David Linsay Willetts, Baron Willetts, PC is a British Conservative Party politician. From 1992 to 2015, he was the Member of Parliament representing the constituency of Havant in Hampshire. He was the Minister of State for Universities and Science from 2010 until July 2014. In 2015 he became a member of the House of Lords. Education: Willetts was educated at King Edward's School, Birmingham, and Christ Church, Oxford, where he studied philosophy, politics and economics. Willetts graduated with a first-class degree. Policy researcher: having served as Nigel Lawson's private researcher, Willetts took charge of the Treasury Monetary Policy Division at 26 before moving over to Margaret Thatcher's Policy Unit at 28. Aged 31, he subsequently took over the Centre for Policy Studies. First period in government. Aged 36, Willetts entered Parliament in 1992 as the MP for Havant. He quickly established himself in Parliament, becoming a whip, a Cabinet Office Minister, and then Paymaster General in his first term. During this period Willetts gained two brains as a nickname, a moniker reportedly coined by The Guardian's former political editor Michael White. However, Willetts was forced to resign from the latter post by the Standards and Privileges Committee over an investigation into Neil Hamilton in 1996, when it found that he had dissembled in his evidence to the committee over whether pressure was put on to an earlier investigation into Hamilton. Shadow Cabinet: despite the resignation, Willetts was able to return to the shadow front bench a few years later while William Hague was leader of the opposition, initially serving in the Shadow Cabinet as Shadow Education Secretary before becoming Shadow Social Security Secretary. He carved out a reputation as an expert on pensions and benefits. Since leaving the DWP post, he has been recruited as an external consultant by the actuaries Punter Southall. After the 2005 election, he served as Shadow Secretary of State for Trade and Industry in the Shadow Cabinet under Michael Howard. In August 2005, after ruling out running for leader owing to a lack of support, commentators speculated that he was gunning for the post-Shadow Chancellor of the Exchequer position and would cut a deal with either David Davis or David Cameron. On September 15 he confirmed his support for Davis, at that time the bookies' favourite. Willetts, a centrist moderniser, went to ground following the announcement of the Davis tax plans since it was widely speculated that he disagreed with the seemingly uncosted and widely derided tax plan and found it impossible to defend. Davis then lost the candidacy race to Cameron. Following Cameron's win, Willetts was appointed Shadow Secretary of State for Education and Skills in Cameron's first Shadow Cabinet in December 2005, the role Cameron had vacated, and later becoming Shadow Secretary of State for Innovation, Universities and Skills. His title became Shadow Minister for Universities and Skills since Gordon Brown's merger of the Department for Innovation, Universities and Skills with the Department for Business, Enterprise and Regulatory Reform into the Department for Business, Innovation and Skills in June 2009. On May 19, 2007, Willetts made a controversial speech on grammar schools in which he defended the existing Conservative Party policy of not reintroducing grammar schools. The speech received a mixed reception. The analysis was applauded by The Guardian and The Times. However, the more right-wing Daily Telegraph and the Daily Mail were both strongly critical of the speech, which was unpopular with some Conservative Party activists. The speech was made more controversial when David Cameron weighed into the argument, backing Willetts' speech and describing his critics as delusional, accusing them of splashing around in the shallow end of the educational debate, and of clinging on to outdated mantras that bear no relation to the reality of life. The Department for Education and Skills was abolished by the new Prime Minister, Gordon Brown, who established two new departments. On July 2, 2007, Cameron reshuffled Willetts down to the junior of the two departments, the Department for Innovation, Universities and Skills. Second period in government: following the 2010 general election, Prime Minister David Cameron appointed Willetts as the Minister of State for Universities and Science. Feminism claim equals: in June 2011, Willetts said during the launch of the government unregistered trademark social mobility strategy that movement between the classes had stagnated over the past 40 years, and Willetts attributed this partly to the entry of women into the workplace and universities for the lack of progress for men. Feminism trumped egalitarianism, he said, adding that women who would otherwise have been housewives had taken university places and well-paid jobs that could have gone to ambitious working-class men. He went on to say that one of the things that happened over that period was that the entirely admirable transformation of opportunities for women meant that with a lot of the expansion of education in the 1960s, 70s and 80s, the first beneficiaries were the daughters of middle-class families who had previously been excluded from educational opportunities, he said. He said that, and if you put that with what is called assortative mating that well-educated women marry well-educated men this transformation of opportunities for women ended up magnifying social divides. It is delicate territory because it is not a bad thing that women had these opportunities, but it widened the gap in household incomes because you suddenly had two earner couples, both of whom were well-educated, compared with often workless households where nobody was educated. Standing down equals. In July 2014, Willetts announced that he would not contest the next general election, saying that after more than 20 years the time has come to move on to fresh challenges. In October 2014, Willetts was appointed a visiting professor at King's College London. It was announced that he was to be a life peer in the 2015 dissolution honours and was created Baron Willetts, of Havant in the county of Hampshire, on October 16, 2015. Free votes record. According to the public whip analyses, Willetts was strongly in favour of an elected House of Lords and was strongly against the ban on fox hunting. They Work For You additionally records that, amongst other things, Willetts was strongly in favour of the Iraq War, strongly in favour of an investigation into it, moderately against equal gay rights, and very strongly for replacing Trident. Two Brains, due to his careful intellectual approach, ties to academia, his unusually policy-heavy background and his high hairline, he has acquired the nickname Two Brains. He is currently a visiting professor at King's College London where he works with the Policy Institute at King unregistered trademark S, a visiting professor at the Cass Business School, a board member of the Institute for Fiscal Studies and a visiting fellow at Nuffield College, Oxford. Willetts is the author of several books on conservatism, including Why Vote Conservative? And Modern Conservatism, as well as numerous articles. He was a founding signatory in 2005 of the Henry Jackson Society Principles, advocating a proactive approach to the spread of liberal democracy across the world, including when necessary by military intervention. He is an honorary member of Conservative Friends of Poland. Civic Conservatism. Willetts has pioneered the idea of civic conservatism, D. Willetts, Civic Conservatism, SMF. This is the idea of focusing on the institutions between the state and individuals as a policy concern and is one of the principles behind the increasing support in the Conservative Party's localist agenda and its emphasis on voluntary organizations. During an interview with The Spectator, he was referred to as the real father of Cameronism. 14 years after the publication of Civic Conservatism, Willetts gave the inaugural Oakeshott Memorial Lecture to the London School of Economics in which he made an attempt to explain how game theory can be used to help think about how to improve social capital. The lecture was described by The Times as an audacious attempt by the Conservative Party's leading intellectual to relate a new Tory narrative. Civic conservatism, like free market economics, proceeds from deep-seated individual self-interest towards a stable cooperation. It sets the Tories the task not of changing humanity but of designing institutions and arrangements that encourage our natural reciprocal altruism. Personal life and members' interests. Willetts is married to the artist Sarah Butterfield. The couple have one daughter, Imogen, and one son, Matthew. His wealth is estimated at £1.9 million. And his declarations for the Register of Members' financial interests may be viewed here. Published works, Happy Families. 4 Points to a Conservative Family Policy. 1991. ISBN 1-870265-62-9. Modern Conservatism 1992. ISBN 0-14-015477-9. Welfare to Work 1992. ISBN 1-874097-18-6. Blair's Gurus. 1996. ISBN 0-14-026304-7. Why Vote Conservative? 1997. ISBN 0-14-026304-7. Blair's Gurus. 1997. ISBN 1-897969-47-3. Who Do We Think We Are? 1998. ISBN 1-897969-81-3. Left Out, Left Behind. 2003. ISBN 0-9545611-0-4. Old Europe. Demographic Change and Pension Reform. 2003. ISBN 1-900-1229-47-5. The Pinch, How the Baby Boomers Took Their Children's Future and Why They Should Give It Back 2010. ISBN 18848872313. References. For Willetts' roles in the 1980s–1990s as a welfare specialist, Timmins, Nicholas. The Five Giants, A Biography of the Welfare State. ISBN 0-00-710264-X. External links, David Willetts MP Official Constituency Website, Profile at the Conservative Party. Profile at Parliament of the United Kingdom, Contributions in Parliament at Hansard 1803 Euro 2005, Current Session Contributions in Parliament at Hansard, Voting Record at Public Whip, Record in Parliament at They Work For You, Profile at Westminster Parliamentary Record, Profile at BBC News Democracy Live, Articles authored at Journalisted, Article archive at The Guardian, The Tories Don't Have to Make a False Choice Between Roots or Freedom, David Willetts, The Times, June 2, 2005, Works by or about David Willetts in libraries, David Willetts collected news and commentary at The Guardian, appearances on C-SPAN. Profile, David Willetts BBC News, October 22, 2002.